place. God only knows why it's taken me so long to let my doubts go. You're the only
Entry and exit chimes are off.
I don't know why I'm scared. I've been here before. Every feeling, every word, I've imagined it all. You never know if you never try to forgive your past and simply be mine. I dare you to let me be the one and only. Promise I'm worth to hold in your arms. So come on,
Turn. Where is Jace? Oh my gosh. Okay, let me figure out how to turn on my camera and we'll get going. See if it will let me. Hold on one second. For some reason, I'm having like major issues with my camera. I don't really know why.
Wonderful.
Hold on one second, guys. There's one in the closet, if you want it.
Darcie.
That is weird. I can't turn my camera on either, Farah. But that's okay. All we need to see is Darcie's beautiful face, which we can see. Oh, we can only have 6 people on camera. Why is that? Gosh dang it, I hate this thing.
I'm going to make it a project to find a new one of these to use.
Thanks, Lindsay, for taking one for the team. That is creepy. You're like halfway.
No one
Okay.
can see me.
Okay, so welcome everyone to the team call. The team call, not the team call. I'm really excited because we're going to talk about Darcie tonight and let her talk a little bit about her journey to Diamond, which it was a really good one. And I'm excited to share her story a little bit. So I'm just going to go and do it like a Q&A sort of way, so that I make sure she gets to brag about herself enough and you guys can hear some good things that maybe you can take away. So just to introduce her, for those of you guys that don't know or those of you that are new, she started coaching in 2013, but she signed up as a discount coach. And she told me today that she started actively coaching in 2014, which she kind of did, but she kind of hobby coached. I wouldn't say that she like actively started coaching until October of 2015. Like that's when I noticed the change in her, and that's when I saw the switch flip, and all of a sudden she just like skyrocketed. So it was really from October to January, and just the progress she's made in those 3 months when she decided that she wanted to go after Diamond and really make that a priority, and she did it. So just so you guys know, she did hit 10 out of the 12 months in Success Club last year, which is a big deal. And she's hit it every month since she missed her last one, which I think was like in October or something. She is, let's see, let me think what else I can say. She's pregnant with her first baby, which I'm very excited about. She's not finding out what she's having, which is driving me freaking crazy. She's not newly married, but I would still consider newly married because I think it's fun being a newlywed. And then one of the things I love about her the most, and that I stalk her personal profile about, is her ranch and her cows. Because I secretly, vicariously want to live through her. So there's a little introduction of Darce. She's one of my coaches, and I love her. And I'm super excited to be able to kind of share her story a little bit. So I'm going to make sure that she can talk really quick. And I don't know if I can unmute you. Darcie, can you unmute yourself? Is that you? Can you talk? No. Hold on one second. Let me just figure out which one you are. So, oh, there you are. Promote presenter. Hold on one second. Sorry, guys. Okay, I think now, can you talk now? What is happening? I just deleted her from the presentation. Okay, she's coming back. Don't worry. Okay. Hold on one second. There's 3 people unmuted, but Darcie is not one of them. Let's see. Let me mute myself. Can you talk now? What? Why? Why does this happen? I may hurry and set up a talk show and have us call in because this is ridiculous. Hang on one second. Don't worry, you guys. I'll figure this out. There's 5 on the phone. There's 17 of you online. 3 of you are unmuted. Darcie is unmuted, but for some reason can't talk.
Is she muted? Darcie, are you muted on your end?
She says no. She unmuted herself.
Are you sure? Turn your volume up on your computer, maybe. What if we have Darcie call in by phone as well, and she can just talk by phone and on video?
We'll try that. Hold on, everyone. How was your day? Tell them a funny story. No?
A funny story?
Mike's really good at telling funny
I'm going to
stories.
go get my horse head.
No. Let's see. Sorry, guys. This is lame. We should have figured this out before everyone got on.
Rather than a funny story, let me throw out an interesting idea for everyone. Okay. Pose it to me. Look at that. I know what you're thinking. These 22-inch pythons. How do they get out of the frame? But I can't help it. They're just there. So I'm at the gym.
Don't act like you're not impressed.
So I'm at the gym today.
Okay, can you guys hear me?
There we go.
Yay!
Yay! Okay,
We'll tell your story later. Okay.
I'm here.
So Darcie's here. So I'm just going to ask her a few questions, and I'm going to let her sort of share her wisdom and knowledge with you. You don't have to turn your video off if you don't want to, Darcie. We can watch you talk on the phone.
Oh, I already did.
Oh, okay. Okay, so my first question to you is, when was really the changing point when you decided to push and create more urgency in your business? Because, and here's the reason why I asked this. Because I, in all my years of coaching, know exactly the moment when coaches get it. And there's like a definite shift in the way that they behave, in the way that their urgency, just the way that they really work their business. Like there's a palpable almost shift. And I know, okay, she's solid, she got it, she's going. And that I feel like happened sometime after Summit last year, when you had been hitting Success Club, when you finally were just like, okay, this is my time. So talk to me a little bit about how that came about and what changed for you.
Can you still hear me? I just want to make sure you can hear me. Okay. Honestly, I would say, last summer, I was supposed to go to Summit and things came up and I couldn't go. But it was more of like a mental mind shift. I just got to the point where I was tired of watching like other teams and other coaches advance that had started after me. And like I said, it was a mental mindset where I was like, well, if someone else can do this, I mean, I can do this. Why am I still, 2.5 years later, why am I still a discount coach? Like, I was putting in, I was going in, I wasn't as consistent as I am now. And for me, it was just like a light switch where it's like, okay, if I want to make something out of coaching and be something that I want to be and just quit dreaming, I'm going to have to do something to step up my game. So it was more of, just, like I said, being consistent, and I wasn't going to waste money of being a discount coach anymore. I mean, it's not a waste of money, but for me at that point, it was like, I'm either going to go big or go home. And I'm tired of just sitting here and, having a few coaches on my team and making a little bit of cash on the side, but that was basically just to cover my coaching fees and my Shakeology. So I just got to the point where I'm like, I want to create something. I want to be somebody that I know I can be and just go for it. And if you're going to go for it, you have to go deep, go big, or go home. And you basically have to put blinders on and not worry about everybody else. And that's just where I was at. And I figured if I'm going to do this, I'm going to go for it. And once I went for it, I didn't look back.
What do you think were like the biggest things that were holding you back? Do you think it was just like the time, like you weren't taking it seriously, like you just didn't put like the effort into it? Like, were you afraid of something? Like, what was it that was like you had to say? Go ahead.
I wasn't necessarily afraid of anything. It's just I wasn't putting the effort into it. I have some of my coaches ask me, I don't have time for this. How do you do it? And you just make time. And I got to the point where I was, I didn't want to make excuses for myself anymore, and that's what I was doing. I was using, working 12-hour shifts and, getting my workout in as an excuse. And you get to the point where you just have to throw all excuses aside and just go for it.
What do you feel like? Here's the one thing that I noticed, at least when I noticed the shift happen with people, is like the personal development aspect of it. So I asked you earlier, like what you felt, what you've discovered about leadership and what changes you've made to become better at it. Because one of the things, like when you really decide, I'm going to sign up other coaches underneath me, you kind of take on responsibility of those people and training them. And if you don't show up, then they suffer. So what is one thing that you have stepped up with as far as like just your leadership and like really owning your part of the business? Because I think this is one of the major shifts that I've seen in you, is just you taking more responsibility and taking on more of the accountability for your coaches and taking care of them like they're your family.
Yep.
Your line is now unmuted. Your line is now muted.
I can't hear you anymore.
Your line is now unmuted. Your line is
Can you still hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. So I would just say, like, you have to, and I know Jace, you taught this when I first started as a coach. You have to get to the point where you have to act like you're a 10-star diamond coach. I don't care if you just signed up yesterday or if you've been coaching for 3 years. You just have to step it up. You have to be the leader. When I was first recruiting coaches, I was recruiting coaches just for the discount. And as a leader, I've come to learn that I have to expect more out of my active coaches. So, doing one-on-ones, making sure that they have goals set up and what are their goals and what do we have to do to get there. And it's just not me as a coach looking at my goals, but as a leader, I've turned and looked at, okay, what are my coaches' goals? Because in a way, that affects my team, which also pushes me as a leader. And little do my coaches know, like, I have to have higher expectations for myself so that I can be a bigger leader for them. And
one thing I noticed, oh, go ahead.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, Go ahead. Go ahead.
No, my other thing was just on personal development. I listen to CDs on the way to work because I have a 40-minute drive. So it's like you have to find time in your day to work on personal development, because that's what really drove me as a leader. One of my favorite books is Failing Forward, because I felt like every time there was a setback in my coaching career, I just kind of threw in the towel and said, well, forget it. I'm just not a good leader. But, I mean, you have to take the learning experiences. I mean, those customers that you're trying to recruit, those coaches that you have, that just aren't doing what you want them to do. And like the book says, you have to fail forward. Use those as learning tools and don't just give up.
One of the things that I noticed with Darcie, like when she really made this shift and was like, I'm going to go diamond, here's my date, like, let's do it, is just like, again, the shift in urgency, you guys. It's like, it's palpable. I know the exact moment when people are to that point, because that's literally like, and Darcie knows this now, the point that you're trying to get every single coach to where it clicks and they get it. And it's like this aha moment and they just go. You don't have to convince them anymore to keep their head in the game. You don't have to have like as many pep talks. It's more like, this is what's going on. This is the progress I've made. Here I am. I can't talk long. I got to keep going. Like, there's just a different sort of conversation that you have with the coaches that are going and the coaches that are still sort of like on the fence. And so our goal as coaches is to get them over that, right? And that's something that Darcie successfully did. She was sort of in that and then jumped over it, got it, and ran. What were some of the like specific activities that you did once you really set that diamond goal and we were like, okay, this is how many coaches you need? What things did you make sure to be like very on point with and like on top of? What helped you recruit at that point more coaches and more customers and really make that shift?
I would say for me, it was like going out and recruiting with a purpose. Like, I didn't want to go out and recruit just random people that, oh, let's get you started on a fitness journey. Like, my goal was to go out, recruit people who have been on a fitness journey. I really focused in on my previous challengers that really stood out in my challenge group, and I went after them, and I didn't stop until they told me no. There's actually, what is her name? I think Brittany Leggett, one of the Beachbody coaches. I had watched one of her videos, and that was one of her tips was go out, recruit, and you keep recruiting that person until they tell you no. I mean, you can't be salesy about it. Like I said, recruiting with a purpose. And, I focused in on, I think a big part of it was focusing in on certain social medias. For me, it's Instagram. And that's where I've done all of my recruiting is from Instagram and my personal family and friends. And it was just focusing in on one place to recruit and being consistent with the people that I was talking to and not giving up until they said no.
I think that that's huge. And I think another way you guys can look at that, and this is how I look at it with my customers, is if I feel like somebody's a potential coach, I don't give up on it. So it's not that I'm like pursuing them to death or like bugging them to death until they're like, Jace, don't ever ask me about coaching again. Like, that's something that I will always ask again and again and again. Every time I feel like I need to bring it up, I'll bring it up. And sometimes, like, it almost gets to a joking point with some of my customers, like, because they'll come to me and say, I have this girl who wants to buy a program or whatever, and then she'll be like, I know, I should just sign up as a coach and have them buy it under me. Like, it's almost to that point, but it's just like Darcie said, it's that persistence, it's that believing in somebody to that point where you don't give up on them. Just because they say no, or they don't understand right now if the timing is right, it doesn't mean that they still aren't a good potential to do it. It doesn't mean that they lost, whatever you saw in them to become a good coach. And so I think that's awesome. I love that you gave that tip. I think one thing too, you guys, that Darcie has is a really good success partner, which she's had for a long time that she runs challenges with. Her and Charisse team up a lot, and they support each other and help each other. And I think that has been really integral because they are really good at running joint challenges together. They always have somebody to invite something to. And, you know, it's been kind of interesting just watching sort of their partnership. Do you feel like, Darce, that having a success partner has helped you over the last few months?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. I mean, honestly, if I could recognize Sharice every day, I would. I mean, if you guys can find, I mean, one, you know, a success partner that you can just click with, I mean, take it and run with it. I think Sharice and I started running groups together right at about a year ago. And it's just like we just kind of blend together. I mean, her and I, we both work long shifts. We both work full time. And I know that if I can't plug in the morning, Sharice can. If Sharice can't plug in at night, I can. And one of us is always there. And I think, you know, that's one of the things that's really pushed me. We push each other. I mean, we're constantly chatting back and forth, you know, what can we do for, you know, this challenger, and this challenger, you know, is not picking it up. Can you support her some more for me? And we just work so well together. And, you know, I think as a new coach, and I've kind of seen it with my newer coaches, like challenge groups can be intimidating, and it's hard to get a challenge group going when you only have a few customers. And I feel like if you can find that accountability partner to blend with and that you can work with 24/7 and run successful groups together, and do it, because I think it's driven my business, and I know it's driven Sharice's business, you know, not only the business aspect, but as coaches and leaders ourselves, because we have someone there pushing us 24/7.
No, I think that's awesome. I mean, I had a success partner too when I first started, and Matt literally taught me everything about the business, everything, because Chris didn't, you guys know. But it's honestly, you guys, if nothing else, it's just somebody there supporting you all the time. You know, we all have our upline sponsors and whatever, but you work with each other differently. Like your coach is your mentor. They're not they're not really your accountability partner in the same way. And so having somebody that's driving towards the same things that you click with, just like Darcie said, can be a really amazing sort of partnership through the journey. So if you've tried and failed with different people, just keep going until it naturally clicks. Like Maddie and I just naturally sort of fit. Like we never had a conversation of let's be success partners. We just were success partners. We supported each other and loved each other. And that definitely was how Darcie and Sharice kind of started doing stuff. And it's kind of incredible, but the same sort of thing has kind of happened with Sharice. And you guys will see that she kind of did the same thing. She was just sort of like discount coaching, and then now she's like
put in that I use my phone 75%, and because my portion of the bill is 75.
One other thing I want to
for business, it was $75.
Is hold on, Darce, let me find your questions. Oh, there was one other question. So, and this one's income related, and I told her she could answer this however she wants, but as her coach, like, I don't know if you guys know this, but once your coaches hit diamond, there's a 10% matching bonus for whatever they cycle. And so you can actually see, and this is something that I track, not for financial purposes per se, but to see if my leaders are actually progressing. Like I look at my matching bonus and I say, is it going up? Is it going down? Is it staying stagnant? Like, are my leaders actually moving? Are they doing more and earning more and having more impact? And if they're not, then I'm not leading properly. So it's another thing that you can kind of start to gauge, but just it's interesting watching Darcie going from emerald just to diamond and the significant difference that's made in the income. And so I wanted her to just kind of touch on that a little bit, just how her income's changed since becoming a diamond. And I'm just going to kind of let you answer that and maybe give an example or two of something that you've been able to do financially with coaching or whatever you've thought out for this question that I already posed to you earlier. Oh, I hope I didn't mute her. Darcie, are you muted? Hold on, let me see if I can pull up the phone. Sorry, guys. Hold on one second. Oh, I don't know how you got muted, but you're muted. So I'm just going to unmute everybody and then hopefully that will pop back on. Sorry, guys. Mike.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay. Good
Sorry.
grief. So as far as income, you know, like I said before, when I was Emerald, I was making enough just to cover like my monthly fees in Shakeology and maybe a couple extra orders here and there. But since I hit Diamond, the team bonus cycles and the amount I'm making there has almost tripled. And you don't really realize it till when you hit Diamond. Like, there's just such a huge financial, capability that you can do with just moving up a rank. And, I can't stress enough that, a rank is just a rank, but you have to work it. I have to make sure, I push my coaches to make sales. I push myself to make sales and being consistent. And what I've noticed over the last 5 weeks, is that my checks have, my paychecks each week have gone up and they've been more consistent every single week. Before, it was kind of hit and miss as to what I would make. And right now for, a financial goal, I haven't paid off anything, but all my Beachbody earnings goes into one separate checking account. And I have big goals on my dream board, paying off vehicle debt and taking more vacations. And so I haven't hit anything right now, but I have goals that I'm working towards. And like I said, all of my earnings go into one separate checking account. And like you said, Jace, if my cycle bonuses aren't moving or increasing, that means my team's not doing anything. So I've been pushing my team harder and harder. And every week, I have my own team page, and every week I post up their Success Club points and their PV Club. And for me, that's a way of pushing them so they can grow their businesses as well. Because all in all, this is a big team thing, and you have to work together as a team in order to move up. So
the one thing that's so crazy, and I you guys know, I've talked about this over the years a bajillion times about Diamond being where your career really starts. That's really when you start to see income that is more substantial. It's not random, like Darcie said. It becomes more consistent. It begins to grow week over week. And what happens, you guys, is when you go Diamond and you get a little sense of that, all of a sudden there's another shift. And I noticed this with Darcie too. There's another shift. Oh my gosh, this is what's on the other side of it. And then all of a sudden you want that for all of your coaches, immediately, oh my gosh, it's almost so that's why I think there's so much pressure and excitement built around Diamond, because honestly, you guys, it's not getting there. It's getting beyond it. Getting on the other side of it. It's seeing the rainbow and there's a pot of gold over there, but you can't freaking get to the rainbow. You know what I mean? But if somebody can throw a rope over it and they throw you a rope over it, you're going to climb it, get over there and realize, oh my gosh, there's a giant pot of gold over here. So it's just, that's why there's so much buzz and excitement around this particular rake, because this is when it really becomes something bigger. Okay. And it's in every sense. Like Darcie said, your coaches all of a sudden become more of a leader. There's more urgency for you to help your coaches with this. It's almost like when you guys go through a program and you get your own transformation and you're like, I freaking love this program. I know that it works. I know it will get you results. And here's all the reasons why. And here's my before and after picture. Diamond is kind of the same way. It's like, oh my gosh, I finally got here. Now that I know what it means and what it can do for people, I want everybody to do it. It's like that. So you know, it's just a very cool thing to be able to do. And I honestly think that reaching that rank, or any rank, just making the decision to grow your business and build, whether you're moving up the leadership ladder or you're moving through rank, those two specific things are really making a statement of, I'm here to stay, I'm helping people, I am actively trying to make something of this. And if nothing else, like, that speaks 1,000 words. So I love that. The last thing I wanted her to do, and then I'll let you guys go because it's 9:30, is I just wanted to give her a minute to maybe add some value or give you some tips. Maybe just speak to newer coaches, Darce, or really any coach that maybe isn't quite to that point, like to that aha moment where, like, oh my gosh, I have to, like, I'm just gonna freaking do this. If there's some advice you can give to get people to that point and over the hobby coach mentality, what would that be?
In all honesty, I mean, if I could be where I am today, I mean, 3 years ago, I feel like I could be way further up the ladder. My advice for you, I mean, as a new coach, or even if you've been a discount coach for a while, is, you know, you really have to just put your blinders on and focus on your business, because I was always comparing myself to everyone else around me, and it almost created a sense of anxiety and pressure that just pushed me away. So, and like I said, put your blinders on and just worry about you and your business, and, you know, get out a whiteboard, write down your goals so you can visually see them. For me, I always visualized a diamond date, a goal date, but I never wrote it down, and I never looked at it every single day. And, you know, just act like you're a 10-star diamond. And when you go out and recruit people, like I said, recruit with a purpose. And don't worry about the sale. You have to get to know your customers first, because if you're so focused on a sale, I mean, you're never going to be able to get to know your customer, get to know their goals, and just get to know them on a personal basis. Because if you know your customer on a personal basis, the sale will come. And with that sale, you know, you'll get coaches. So it's just almost like I said, you just have to put your blinders on and worry about your own business, and, you know, find that social media tool that works for you. I know there's some coaches that can recruit off of like pages on Facebook, and for me, I'm just not successful at it. So my focus has always just been Instagram and being consistent. And, you know, when I get home from work at night, I'm constantly talking to people on Instagram, and not just, you know, talking to someone here, talking to someone there. You know, one night I'm recruiting, the next night I'm not. You have to be consistent until you get to that point of where you want to be with your business. And then it's like you said, Jason, it's that mental shift there. Once you get to where you want to be, it pushes you even harder. And we all have time. I mean, everyone has time to coach. You just have to take the time and find your power hour. If there's a certain time during the day that works best for you, use that hour to work your business, and, you know, use the rest of the day to focus in on you and your family and work. So
I think one thing that you guys should know too is Darcie is a nurse, like Jess. Jess is a nurse too. They work extremely long hours. And I talk about this a lot, but I don't think that people really get how much you have to push through being tired. Like, I think you're just perpetually tired because of life. You know what I mean? Like, that's never going to freaking go away. If you aren't doing something because you're tired, that's not going to change. Like, we're all adults. You're just tired all the freaking time, especially because we work out so much. Like, I talked to my coaches about this on our team call last night. It's really just learning how to manage your obstacles, and manage the excuses so that you can stay productive when they arise, because they're never going to go away, ever. And if something does go away, something else is going to fill that place. There's always going to be an excuse for you not to succeed and not to do and not to get stuff done. Always. And if there isn't, you'll find one. Trust me. So it's really just learning to manage that and become better at it through personal development and saying, you know, how do I handle adversity? Like, when I'm tested and when it counts the most, how do I react? Do I get lazier? Do I stop working? Do I take a break for a minute? Do I just stop everything I'm doing because I've got this other situation going on? No. Okay. This is something that is learned. It's something that can be fixed. It's something that you guys can practice on a daily basis, really learning how to manage when obstacles come up in your life. And this isn't just for coaching, just like in general. If there's conflict somewhere, it really, really can set you back. And one thing I wanted to make note of that Darcie said was the comparison factor, because that is a very real thing when you're working side by side with people who are pushing for the exact same rank and success club and PV club and all of these business tasks that we all have to do at the same time to be like, oh, she hit it, he hit it, they hit it. What am I doing? Why am I not hitting it? I'm doing all the same things. Are you? Are you spending as much time as they are? Right? Are you recruiting on as many people as they are? Are you inviting in as many people as they are? Are you consistent with your lists? Are you consistently working through the obstacles that come up in your life? And can you manage and organize, okay, your situation? So again, it's just about putting your blinders on and saying, what am I doing on a daily basis to progress me? If you have a strong plan and you know where you're going, you look less at what other people are doing and where they're going. And that's a fact. So if you're struggling with comparison, your plan's not strong enough, your goals aren't in front of you, right, to visually remind you, and you're losing focus. One thing that is very adamant, and I've noticed it with Darcie, is the focus. It's there all the time. I don't ever have to be like, am I losing you? Where are you? You know what I mean? It's never a question where she's at mentally, ever. I know where she's at. I know where we're going, which I want you to tell them, Darcie, what your goals are now that you're working for. And then we'll let you guys go.
Well, now my goals are, I know you and I have talked about this before, but just because I'm a diamond, I'm not going to stop. Diamond's just a rank. I mean, so for me, I'm just going to pretend like I'm starting over and continue to recruit more coaches and recruit them with a purpose. And my goal next is to get to, right now I'm pushing for 2-star and elite status for the year. So now I'm really trying to push my coaches also to get where I'm going, because for me, it's a team goal, and I want to do this with them and be their leader, you know, and change their lives too. So
I love it. I think that that's so key. That's something that a lot of newer coaches and, you know, even veteran coaches, like I've struggled with that, really trying to figure out how to accomplish your goals with a team effort. It's tough. It's tough to like intertwine the two things and say, if you do this, then we'll accomplish this as a team. But that's how it works. That's how I always say, together we can. We cannot do this alone. So we all have to individually do our part so that the team as a whole can progress and lift each other. Do any of you guys have questions for Darcie? If you do, I would say please write them in the chat so I can read them to her so we can cut back on the feedback. I'm just going to go through some of these notes you guys have been writing, which I haven't even noticed. Does anybody have any questions for Darcie? So Ashley asked, how do you guys coordinate challenges together? You and Cherie Stars, how do you guys coordinate your challenges?
I have to laugh that you bring this up because we've been asked this multiple times. Well, her and I usually, like, halfway through the month before, we'll kind of talk about what our challenge should be the next month. What kind of goals should we have? What kind of requirements should we have? We don't focus it in on just one program. It's for everybody. This next month, or actually Monday, we're starting a 2-week, it's like a food group, and we're making like Shakeology a requirement. And you know, I know like in the team list page there's like the challenge group template about what to post every single day. And in all honesty, I mean, her and I don't do that anymore. Each day, her and I just post something for the day and get feedback from our challengers. Actually, this month I did upload a February challenge template where our challengers have to post something related to that topic every single day. So honestly, we don't have like a set like template. Her and I, we just, it's hard to explain because her and I we work so well together that every day one of us has a different topic that we talk about. And, you know, if we notice that our group is kind of dwindling down, we call them out on it. We ask them what we can change for the group, and we move on. So, and we actually this probably has been, the group that we have going on now has probably been the most successful group that we have. We talk about coaching in our challenge group. We talk about certain challengers. If we have a challenger that's standing out in the spotlight, we call them out and we kind of worship them, and we do like a challenger spotlight. So it just kind of depends on, you know, who your accountability or your success partner is and how well you work together. Because like I said, we don't really have a template. We know one of us is going to post every single day, and one of us always has something motivating to get the group going. So I know it's not really a good answer.
No, I think that's awesome. I mean, honestly, you guys, this is the problem, is people overthink it. Really, the purpose of the challenge group is what? Accountability and progress, okay? So if you can infuse those two things, which Charisse and Darcie do very well, it's not about what exactly should I post today. It's about where's our focus, where's our heads at? Did you guys work out? Did you eat healthy? Where are you at? It's the accountability and the progress. So they do that really well because one of them is posting that all the time. They celebrate success, which is huge. They talk about coaching openly and probably most things pretty openly in their group. They treat their customers like they treat their coaches. You know, like all the information is there. We're here to help you in any capacity. I think maybe what Ash was kind of getting at is how do you plan the challenge, which I thought you answered well, which is we get together beforehand and we go over all of the things that we want for the group for that month or what we want to do with our challenge. It's just communication. They communicate very well. And I'm sure, Darce, if you guys, like, some months you probably have no ideas what to do and Charisse has tons of ideas and vice versa. Or you're both excited about one thing and you have to compromise. Like, it's really just, like Darcie said, finding somebody who you mesh with really well. And I mean, like, for example, Maddie and I never ran a challenge group together. We had our own separate groups and we were just part of each other's groups. We kept them separate. We kept our customers separate, but I knew all his customers and he knew all mine. And we were just sort of like this secondary presence in that group, but just as active as each other were. So like I was as active as Maddie was in his group and he was as active as I was in my group. And so, and I don't know if Charisse and Darcie, if you guys have done this, but like I would approach Matt's customers and say, hey, I would message them privately and say, I think you would make an amazing coach. Have you ever thought about coaching for Maddie? And then I would like literally recruit them for him. And I'd be like, let's get you signed up and we'll surprise him. And he'll see like that you signed up as a coach and he'll be like, what? And I'll be like, so? You know what I mean? Like, and we just did that for each other. And we probably signed each other up 4 or 5 coaches. And we both hit diamond in that 45 days because we sort of tag teamed the process. But it was cool because it makes it unbiased. Like if you're approaching somebody else's customer that you have a relationship with and you tell them that you think that they would be good at coaching and here's all the reasons why, and you're being sincere about it, but you have zero benefit from them signing up, it's a completely different and more open recruiting situation. You know what I mean? Like you can have a very uninhibited conversation with that person because it's not your benefit, if that makes sense. But we're all a team.
And we've honestly done that.
Yeah.
Like, I haven't gone out and, you know, secretly, like, recruited one of Charisse's coach and had them sign up under her and surprise her. But, I mean, her and I, we both do it. I'll call out one of her customers and just ask, you know, you're so motivating or inspiring or just call them out on their post and ask them, have you ever thought about joining Charisse's team and coaching her? Why aren't you a coach? Her and I do it back and forth. And like you said, it's an unbiased team effort. I mean,
And doing it openly, I think, is huge because everybody else is watching the conversation, whether they engage in it or not. Like all the other challenges are seeing Darcie and Cherise talking to that one person about coaching, and they'll be like, "Oh, what is that? Maybe I want to do that." You know what I mean? It really does help. So again, Darcie, I don't know if you and Cherise ever were like, "Hey, do you want to be a success partner?" Or if it just sort of naturally happened.
It kind of just naturally happened. I think 1 month we just decided, hey, why don't you join my group and do this with me and we'll see how it goes. And it just never stopped. It just took off.
Awesome. Jess did say, she asked, how do you work on your work days? Like, how do you fit in coaching when you're doing your 12-hour shifts?
Well, like I said, I listen to, like, in the morning. Well, right now, I've been kind of slacking my personal development the last few weeks because on the way to work, I will listen to my videos in our Superstar Boot Camp and take notes in my head. And then, like, I'm supposed to get a half-hour break at lunch, but we really don't. But my entire lunch break, I am literally sitting on my phone, liking, pictures on Instagram, and my goal every day is to at least start a new conversation with 10 people. So I'll do it over lunch. And then in the afternoon, I usually have a break, so I will plug in and see if any of those people that I talked to earlier, if they have messaged me back, if they're conversing at all. Then typically I get home at 8:30, I work out, and I go to bed, and for about 45 minutes to an hour in bed, that's all I'm doing. And I know it sounds insane, and I know my husband probably could throw my phone out the door some days. But if you want to get to that point with your business and be consistent and be a leader, you have to make sacrifices. And for me, I don't watch TV. Usually if my husband's watching TV, I'm on my phone, but I'm constantly recruiting. So you have to get to a point where you just throw out some of your hobbies. You throw out, TV once in a while, but you also have to stay sane too. So, I mean, I'm not doing it, 7 days a week, but for the most part, I would say, 90% of the time during the evening, I'm on my phone recruiting people. But it's a sacrifice I've had to make to take my business where I want to.
Well, and I'll say, like, you guys, it takes about, I will say, Darce, for you, because you're doing this right now, that it won't always be that way. Like, you'll go through a point where I did. For me, it was for a year, a solid year I did that. Like, I literally recruited from 9 p.m. until 1 a.m. That's when I was online. That's when I was working. That's when everybody else was asleep. And that's when I worked my business. And it is extremely difficult to overcome the exhaustion and being tired. But like Darcie said, it's that sacrifice of building the foundation of your business so that eventually, guys, I don't go out and recruit like that anymore. I post an invite and I get people that come to me because I built a network and I built a business. You know what I mean? Like, I put in the time. I put in a lot of time. I did a lot of hard work. It's interesting as like Mike and I are making this transition, which we're going to talk about, of him leaving his job and kind of doing this. It's kind of, sparked a lot of interest with people in our community that have never, ever even talked to us about what we're doing. But all of a sudden it's like, I want to do that. How do you become a coach? How do you become successful at it? And how much time does it take? How much time did Jay spend building this? 5 years I spent building it. Okay, 5 years it took. So it's not like it's something that just happened overnight and that I recruited for 2 weeks straight and all of a sudden I had a giant business. No, okay, it's consistently over time continuing to build. It doesn't happen at the same level, and you get really good at balancing, you get really good at scheduling, you get really good at organizing, or else you suffer. Okay, so that starts to happen naturally. You are forced to do it because if you don't, you die, right? So it's like Darcie said, like she's probably experiencing that a little bit right now where you're on your phone a lot and her husband is sacrificing. It's not just Darcie who's sacrificing, it's him, okay? And when she has this new baby, it's going to be a sacrifice even with that. But at the end of the day, if what you're doing it for is for more time with them and more freedom and being able to do this in a way where your business is just working for you, which is what we're trying to build with Darcie. We're trying to get her to a point where the customers are just coming to her and the coaches are just coming to her. She doesn't have to go out and do as much of that anymore. And it does get to that point, but only if you sacrifice in the beginning and build that foundation. Sarah said, when do you bring them to Facebook? Oh, she said, hold on one second. I think she's talking about Instagram. So Farah, I think, is asking about bringing people over to Instagram.
That's one thing that I've changed. I used to, have a small conversation with them and then try to get them to get them over to Facebook. But now, I honestly take my time with them on Instagram. Like, I make a comment on their picture, and I always ask an open-ended question. I do this with my team, and, you cannot ask a yes or no question. It has to be open-ended to get them to converse back with you. And I will do that, for maybe 3, 4, 5, conversations back and forth. And, finally, once they're really opening up to me, I'll ask them and just say, hey, do you have Facebook? Send me your request. Let's chat on there. Would love to hear more. And, I would say almost 100% of the time, they instantly will send me a friend request. So it's just getting to build that relationship on Instagram, ask them open-ended questions, kind of getting a base of who they are, what their goals are, have they ever considered a home fitness program, and then transitioning them to Facebook. Because if you only ask them 1 or 2 questions and then tell them to add you on Facebook, I felt like I was losing people, and then the conversation would just drop, and I'd never hear back from them.
I do most of my recruiting on Instagram too, and I do a couple different things. If the conversation starts to get more detailed, like Darcie is saying, like, I'll try and build the conversation a little bit on Instagram. And then I always say, I would love to talk to you about this in a less public forum. Do you have an email address? And I'll ask them for their email, and then I'll send them an email. And I move it over to email. Or what I've been doing, and the reason why I set up my body camp prep group, was to get people from Instagram to Facebook. So when I offer my free week challenges, people will get on Facebook for a free challenge, right? It's harder to get them to convert over when you're trying to sell them something, but for free challenges, you can always get people over there. So my avenue that I've noticed has always been Instagram, email to Facebook. That works the most effectively for me because I can get their email address, or I can ask them if they have a Facebook page, and I'll say, what's your Facebook? But most of the time they'll just say their name, and I'll have to go back and be like, there's 100,000 Mike Johnsons on Facebook. What's your email on Facebook, or what's your email address? If you ask them their email address, the brilliant thing about that is you can, number 1, email them, and number 2, search that email on Facebook and see if they have a Facebook page through their email address. So you can also find them on Facebook and friend them there. And then you can go back to Instagram and say, hey, I emailed you, and I also found you on Facebook, and I sent you a message there. And most of the time they'll write you back on Facebook, and there you go. So it's a bit more of a transition, but Darcie, I don't know if you feel like this, but it never has really been an annoyance for me. Maybe in the beginning when I started recruiting on Instagram a lot, but honestly, the most smooth way for me has been Instagram, email to Facebook.
And I've done that with a few people. I'll just say, hey, what's your email? Let's chat. It just kind of depends on where your conversation is going. And after a few, conversations back and forth, you're going to know whether or not you can get this person on Facebook or not, because you've already built up that friendship and that comfort level with them, and get them to trust you. So it just kind of depends on where your conversation is going. And like you said, I've used that too. Use something along the words of, somewhere a little less or a little more private, because some people don't want to open up on Instagram for everyone to see.
Right.
So that's important to keep in mind.
Well, and I think if you pose it that way, like I'm trying to take our private conversation somewhere private so that your information's not like out there, then they respect you for that and they'll be more likely to move over. Mary Grace said, what do you do when you have someone who wants to join your challenge, but they already have a coach that's family or their sister-in-law? Do you still add them into your group? I personally, when I first started, I did not. You guys know I'm strict about people adding me as their coach or I won't add them. However, Farrah knows I make exceptions. And in that specific situation, I would ask how active they are with their sister-in-law as their coach or if they're only doing it because they're family. And the reason why I ask that is because what ends up happening, you guys, if you do end up helping them and putting them in your challenge group, 90% of the time they end up switching to you because you're the one that helped them. So that's got to be kind of a play it by ear sort of thing. For example, like I just used Farrah because she came from another team, but she was a coach under another team. And I let her into my challenge groups. And the reason that I did that is because we built a relationship. I trusted her. I wanted to help her. I was, invested in her journey, and it just seemed like a natural fit. There was no loss for me, right? And some people are like, when you're new, well, I won't get this sale or I won't get this. Stop thinking about that. If you're thinking about that, you're thinking about it wrong. Help the person, okay? So when you have those specific situations, I would say as long as they are a positive influence on you, your business, and your group, then use good discretion and add them. If you're not stepping on toes, which I want you guys to make sure you're not doing. There's a lot of issues with that going on right now in our network of stepping on toes. You need to be very respectful of other coaches. And you can say, you have another coach, I don't step on toes. If you want to work with me, I would love to work with you, but just tell me where you're at with your coach, and as long as you guys both have an understanding of exactly where each other are and there's no expectations of anything different and you feel good about adding them, add them. I don't know, Darcie, how you deal with that, but.
Yeah. Like you said, I make sure that I tell them up front that out of respect for other coaches, I don't want to step on toes. So, if they want to transition over to my challenge groups or some of my free fitness groups, I will let them. But in the end, I don't ask them to change to me. And it's just like you said, if they're a positive person, and they're going to positively change my business or add value to my challenge group, I will add them. But I make it point blank, point clear that, if you are actively, if you're actively working with your coach and you like your coach, and they're doing, a positive, influence for you, I don't ask them to switch to me. And in all honesty, I've only added a few of them into my challenge groups just because for me, it's more of a comfort level. And the two that I've let in have been personal friends that, one of them had their coach was a sister-in-law. And like you said, it's kind of where you are at as a comfort level, and just make it clear to them that, if you like your coach, don't beg them to switch to you because that's just rude. It's not good business.
No, and it will bite you. Like that karma will come back.
Yeah.
I will say that most people in that situation that I take on are not actively working with their coach on like a daily basis or like actively involved in their challenges and buying stuff from them. They're probably buying stuff from them, but they're not actively working with them. Otherwise, they wouldn't be looking for another challenge group, right? At the end of the day, that's really it. If they're reaching out to you, it's because they're not getting something that they need, or there's something that you're doing that they feel like will help them. And I wouldn't take that away, but I have said, you guys, please ask your coach if it's okay if you join my challenge. If they are in good relation and they are doing things with their coaches, but their coaches don't run challenges every single month or whatever, just do due diligence. Like, make sure that you're being professional, you're not stepping on toes, and you're not getting greedy. Okay? Don't be greedy, or else you will never earn income. I'm going to say that right now. I will take all of your money away and put it in my piggy bank if I find you being greedy, like my 5-year-old. Trent always helps everybody through everything. Does anybody else have any more questions? It's 10 o'clock. I want to make sure that we thank Darcie because she did awesome. And I'm excited to have these calls. And I feel like we're going to have a lot of them this year. And it's always good to hear fresh ideas and hear what other coaches are doing. And I'm excited for the day that she hits that 2-star and elite goal. So thanks for being on, Darce. And we will let you guys go.
Well, thank you.
Next week.